Mysta-Clan Productions.
This is a video scripted and produced by Six Mysta and his editors. Plug of the day. Go check out my Patreon. It will really help the channel grow and sustain itself. Also, Patreon members do get shoutouts at the end of every video, so if you are a Patreon member, make sure to stay to the end to see yourself shouted out. Also, join my Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, thanks to the Dragon Lord, we can roll that intro. So, yet another intermission. So, this is a quick announcement for y'all. So, next week I'm getting my new Wi-Fi router, and I'm finally going to be back to full force streaming and stuff. So, me and the three boys, me and the three amigos, if you will be streaming almost all next week. I'll personally be streaming daily. XO is probably going to be there. Not sure about Thor's, but go follow us over there if you want some what if content. I'll be doing what ifs, gaming, all that type of stuff. Kind of mashed up. If you have any what if questions, you can drop it. I'll answer them. I'll do what ifs, all of us. Links in the description. Make sure to go check us out. And yeah, now into the video. So, part 1 of What If Deku Was a Wizard is here. So, we're starting off with Deku as a kid. He had recently found out that he doesn't have a quirk and is really saddened by it. Even though the kids at school bully him for being quirkless, he is driven to get more. He is driven to find a way to become the world's greatest hero. And the answer to this question, lies within books. He started studying every old book he could find in the library, until he found one. This even predates the pre-quirk era, by thousands of years. It looked old, made of old materials, even had hide for paper. This book was a book on magic. It was just called the Magicon, or better known as a grimoire. It had many spells, but none of them readable in Deku's tongue. At the end of the book, Deku just saw one. Translate this and find me. Underneath that stood a paragraph in a foreign language. Over the span of the next few months, a 5-year-old Deku would research this. He did not know what it meant, but as he went on and on and on, he figured out what it said. He doesn't know how he translated it, but he did. Unbeknownst to him, his eyes were glowing. He didn't know what it was, but he didn't realize it either. Now he read the sentence. I am in your soul. Cast the chant, I want see thy once again, by channeling what you see here. Think of my picture and say the words, and I will appear. Make you the greatest hero of thine years. He chants the chant and dances the dance. No, I'm just kidding. He looks at the book, channeling mana through his eyes unintentionally, chanting the chant, putting mana in his words. Soon, a girl named Anita appears. Well, strange follower, you have freed me. I am the wizard, Anita. But you look like a little girl. I am a little girl, and you're a little boy. What does that have to do with anything? I'm actually thousands of years old, and have gathered much knowledge about magic. And I am here to teach you, for you are a weakling in this age of heroes. I shall make you the hero of your age. Now, let us begin. But I don't know anything about what you're talking about. I will be teaching you magic. It's that easy, my boy. So, you already know the basics. No, I don't. Yes, you do. You figured out how to read it, which means you know how to channel mana into your eyes and voice. So, you finished the first step. How long did it take you? About 3 months. 3 months? That's amazing, my boy. Most people take years. Some even decades and centuries. But you, my boy, did it in mere months? That's amazing. That's stunning. That's just cheerful. Let us start. I will start you off with some minor exercises, the girl would say. Deku would be nervous and say, but Mom's right over there. What if she sees you? Don't worry, my boy. You're the only one that can see me. Think of me as a spiritual guide. She taps her feet together and starts walking, waving her hands in front of Inko. See, she can't even hear me. Just you. I'm a link to you and you alone. Now, what do you say? Let us start, my boy. Deku would agree, and asked his mom if he could go play outside. She said that they'd have to go home because playing outside the library could be dangerous. They'd go home, Inko a little depressed, but glad her boy is doing something to encompass his situation. Maybe he'll become a great scholar one day. How she might rue those words one day. Deku would start his training once he got home. The girl, named Anita, which she would introduce herself as, and Deku as Midoriya, or Izuku Midoriya, so she'd call him Izuku. They would train. She would teach him how to channel mana, in the most basic of ways. He can already channel it through his eyes and through his words. But feeling mana itself is a different thing. She started many exercises, having him feel the flow of life moving throughout his body, because that's exactly what mana is. It's a life energy. So it flows, and so it begins. His training has now started. She gives him many mana exercises. The mana exercises she have him do are mostly based on mana itself, not really any elementals right yet. Most of the exercises she has him do are based on pouring your mana into other objects, like restoring dead plants by replenishing its life energy, or having a tree sprout more leaves by giving it incentive. In a mere few months he mastered this exercise. She would say, "Oh dear, my boy, just yet another few months and you had finished this exercise." Believe it or not, those of ancients spent hundreds of years cultivating these techniques, but you once again did it in months. I see great potential in you. Thanks, Anita. So what's next? Well, now comes testing your elements. What do you mean? Channel your mana into this leaf as potently as you can. Try to destroy it. Sure. He would grab a leaf, putting all of his mana to it. It would just vaporize. She'd say, "Stunning. I've never seen anything like this before. Maybe try taking 7 leaves." Okay, sure. But why 7? Don't worry, just do it. He takes 7 leaves, hold them all on his hand. He channeled as much mana into them as possible, exhausting him but creating further progress. The one in the middle would vaporize like normal, but a butterfly effect would happen on the other 6. The 2 most dominantly close to them, one would become black and the other white. Interesting. Light and darkness. Then, adjacent to the white is water, because it turns blue. Adjacent to the black is red, or fire. Fire and water too. Then another turns cyan, and the last turns brown. This is the symbols of earth and wind. Look at that, my dear boy. You are a perfect elemental. You have all 5 elements, and somewhat the embodiments of light and darkness. You are the perfect candidate to be the next Grand Wizard. What is a Grand Wizard, Anita? Well, a Grand Wizard, my boy, is the ruler of the universe. Not in the sense of ruling the universe, but looking after the magic. Magic is the source of all life. And magic, being the source of all life, needs to be timid. It needs to be trimmed around the edges and make sure it's not dangerous. The Grand Wizard looks after the life itself and purges the darkness. He makes sure that nothing goes out of balance, if you will. You get two type of wizards, one of light and one of dark. The elements of light are wind, fire, or wind, water, and light itself. The elements of dark are fire, earth, and darkness itself. You, my boy, obtained both, which means you are the perfect balancer between a creation and destroyer of elements. Now, we shall train further. We shall go into your weakest elements first. Wind and earth. They are underwhelming because of their underwhelming arsenal. They're just as strong as any other element, but they don't have as much to them as the rest. It's just creative liberty at that point. Okay, Anita, let us move on. Deku had gotten used to Anita's accent and somewhat put it on himself for some reason. They would start their training on wind, which is basic elemental. For the next few years, they'd spend in the elements, teleporting around, for this is one of Anita's abilities. Anita's origin still hasn't been revealed, and probably won't be for a long time, as she plots in the shadows. No one knows what this malicious face is planning. But Deku's training is something else. Every day, an excruciating example. For the next few years, 3 years exactly, he's been cultivating his wind. Walking through storms, bending the wind itself, flowing mana, creating tornadoes, breaking nature itself. He had become a great wind wizard. Anita would congratulate him, since most wind masters took around 500 to 600 years to master this element, but he's done it in a mere 2. This is the greatest thing she's ever seen. Her herself had taken around 1,000 years to master all the elements, but she is the... Oops, she can't reveal that yet. Maybe a little later. For now, they should move on. Deku is a true prodigy. Next would come the element of earth, which is a more difficult element, where wind is to be flowful and soft. Earth is to be hard and unbroken, an element that doesn't suit Deku all too well, but he does have potential for. At this point, it's all about emotion, which needs to be there, yet purged at the same time. He needs all emotions and none. This is what he should pride himself upon. She would force his emotions to come to a stop, but continue nonetheless, by showing him visions that could destroy his entire life, and then visions that could build him up. After this torture, if you will, Deku had become an emotion himself. He could control whatever he felt, if it be nothing or everything, malicious intent or good of will. This was Deku's new life. He had become a wizard, and needed to train a new element. He had to become stone hard as a rock, a person of great will and strong beliefs, person that could create or destroy. He would meditate in the earth, in the mountains, in the trees. He would become a fossil of nature. He would be put in a world where time flowed differently, only to be ripped back to reality. Deku had been aged 1,000 years, but is still a 8-year-old boy.
That is going to be all for this video. Us at Mysta-Clan Productions, including 6 Mysta and his editors, thank you for finishing the video. Now for official shoutouts and Patreon members at the end.
Mysta-Clan Productions.
Join my Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, thanks to the following people for becoming Patreons: Kahakashi Obachiha. And remember to check out the link in the description, because the Dragon Lord created both our intro and outro. Now roll that outro. Peace.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Subscribe for more.
Yada yada does it.